Hi friends, it's Lisa Hetrick, illustrator for Gina K Designs, and I'm so grateful you could join me today. I am super excited. I'm always super excited, but I'm super excited to share this card with you today. We're going to do some graphic stamping and layering with color pops here. And Slate, the Gina K Designs Slate color is the new black here today. So I'm using this color quite a bit here to create that graphic pop that we're going to create with this card. But I'm going to show you some stamp layering and how the colors underneath will pop through the color over top, and that gives you an extra level of texture and dimension, and it's so good. Okay, so here's the color palette that I'm going to be using today. So I have Coral Reef, Sweet Corn, Sandy Beach, and Jelly Bean Green. And those are the main colors that I'm going to be using in Sweet Corn. Oh, how I love thee. You work so nicely with slate. Anyway, Honey Mustard is my wild card color here. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but I'm going to put it down here on my color palette. And it's going to go down kind of dark. But when it dries on the Gina K Designs cardstock, it really turns into this beautiful, beautiful orange toned color. And I really, really love it. Okay, and I'm also going to be using slate. So you see that I've got slate there and I didn't put it, I'll end up putting it on the color palette card in a little bit. So I'm using Gina K Designs white cover cardstock, the heavyweight cardstock, and I'm also using the layering cardstock. So I'm going to do all the work on that layered cardstock piece, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it onto the card base. That's an A2 card base. And I'm using two of my stamp sets today. I'm using the Today and Always stamp set, and I'm using the Something Good frame from the Something Good stamp set. So I'm mix mashing my two stamp sets together to create this fun, super fun graphic card. And I've got some Nuvo drops here. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them. I tend to use them as little color pops. I've got some scissors here because there will be a little bit of fussy cutting with the leaves, but most of the stamping is going to be all on one layer. So we're going to have some fun with this. Okay. I'm also using my Connect glue because I love this glue, especially for the embellishments that we're going to be creating. And I have my tidy towel to clean up my mess along the way and try to keep my stamps clean so that I don't contaminate those colors, especially the sweet corn. Okay, so I'm starting out with the center focal point. So I'm using the frame from the Something Good stamp set, and I have Sandy Beach. So this is going to be our lightest tone color in the design, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that down, and that's going to give me, and I'm eyeballing it, kind of center, kind of in the center of the cardstock there. And that's going to give me my center point for my 3 flowers. So I'm going to go in next with my large floral piece and ink that up with the sweet corn. So I've got the large floral in the stamp, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with the sweet corn. And I love this color because it's just such a soft, it doesn't look like it's going to be, when you stamp it, it doesn't look like it's going to be a soft pastel, but when it dries, it's got this really nice soft yellow tone to it. So with the flowers here, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp the center one right in that frame and ink up the stamp again with the sweet corn. And I'm going to give it a turn. So that's the beautiful thing. You can just kind of give it a turn, and I'm going to nest it together. So here it is straight on, and I'm just going to give it a 180-degree turn and go ahead and stamp that down. So the flowers, they have the base flowers here have some movement going to them, and that's the beautiful thing about the stamp. You can rotate it and turn it and fit it into any kind of corner that you want, and layer it so that it can create different kinds of backgrounds, and I love that. So we have some shorter petals in the front and some longer petals in the back, so it just creates a different kind of variety and dimension and look and feel, a little bit of movement. So you can see these 3 flowers and how they arch a little bit. It's got a little bit of movement going. And I love that. It adds a little extra visual movement for the card. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ink up the smaller flower now, which is a great layering flower. And the center of this flower is also not open, so it will stamp solid. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with the slate, and this slate is nice and juicy. And what I love about this color, and I feel like it doesn't get used a lot, we kind of forget about it, it's a nice dark gray, almost black, but not quite. But it just, when it dries, it softens and it gives us that gray flannel look. So it looks pretty stark right now up against the sweet corn. And I'm digging it because that gives us that graphic pop to create that extra layer of texture and dimension. So we've got this illusion of 3 layers going right now, from the frame to the sweet corn flower and then to the slate flower. And again, with this brushstroke flower, you can turn it in any kind of angle, flip it around, do all different kinds of things with it. And when you're nesting it into the larger flower, you get a lot of different movement here, and I love that. So look at that. We've got the illusion here of 3 layers, and we're only stamping on 1 layer, and we've just created that with all of the different layering of color. And what I really love about it is that when it dries, that sweet corn is transparent, and so is the slate. So it'll come through the slate, and we'll start to see a little bit of that color popping from underneath. And that is just amazing to me. And that's what I love so much about these dye inks, because of their layering possibilities. Okay, so I've rambled a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start to build out the composition of this card a little bit with the fern pieces that are in the stamp set. And I'm just inking them up with Jelly Bean Green because I love that color. Jelly Bean Green has a really nice amount of yellow in it, in the green. So it's kind of a yellow green. Not quite citron-y, but a little bit yellow green, and it mixes really, really well with this color palette that I've got going here with the slate and with the sweet corn. And Jelly Bean Green, sweet corn, and Sandy Beach all day, every day will be very complementary colors. So with the fern here and how I'm stamping it and just kind of layering in here, I'm just trying to follow the movement that we've got going with the florals and how they're kind of turning across the page. So the fern piece also helps the eye kind of go with the flow and go along with it. But I've got to keep in mind not to get too overzealous here, because I need to get that sentiment nested in that bottom of the card. So I think I'm going to just not put another fern piece in. I am going to resist the urge to put another fern piece in, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up the 2 leaves from the stamp set with some Jelly Bean Green and just straight up stamp them right on this extra piece of white cardstock. And then I'm going to fussy cut them out, and they're just going to become layering embellishments on top of the card, but they won't add a tremendous amount of weight to the top of the card. So I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut these out, and then come back and we'll start to put the sentiment in the card. So sometimes people will put the sentiment in first and they'll work the design around it. I kind of do the opposite. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of eyeball where the today is going to go, and know that it's going to layer a little bit over the sweet corn and the sandy beach and that Jelly Bean Green color. But because I'm using the slate, it's going to be okay. It's going to layer right over top of those colors. And again, it's going to give us the illusion of all of those different dimensions, because we're layering all these different colors on top of each other. So now I'm just going to add the and always in right and nest it right underneath the today. And there's lots of different places that you could put the and always, but I kind of knew it wasn't going to fit over there by the little heart. And I wanted to put that leaf there because I think that helps complete that look with the today and the fern that's on the left and the leaf that's on the right. So I'm taking the other leaf and just nesting it right up there in that flower and just kind of shaping, giving that today sentiment a little bit of shape. And a little bit of pop highlight, because I'm just kind of nesting some of that foliage around it. Okay, so I took some coral reef here, and I have the little rosette. that's in the stamp set. And you don't need to push on that rosette too hard because that ink will bleed into itself and you really don't want that. You just need to give it a little tiny pressure and you're going to get all of those that nice line work in the rosette. So I just went ahead and fussy cut them because they're going to become the center of the floral piece. So adding this little pop of the coral reef to the center, boom, gives it a color pop and kind of an unexpected color pop. You've got the dark tone, the dark gray tone of the slate, and then we've got this coral reef popping that it just kind of creates a really nice composition and rhythm to the card. And I'm really digging it. And it was so simple. So everything just came together so quickly. And I just went ahead and took some of the Connect glue, put it on the back of the card, and I'm just layering this piece on top of the white A2 cardstock and just kind of getting that adhered. And boom, just a simple card. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and add some easy breezy little dots here with some Nuvo drops. You could also use your white gel pens or even gems if you wanted to. I tend to go towards accessories for the card that are a little less, that give it a little less height. And I just love these little drops. It's super simple to do and it gives it a little extra dimension. I am loving the way this card came out. All these graphic pops, just so much great color and super simple to create. I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial. Thanks so much for joining me. Please consider sharing the joy by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.